Hi, everybody, and welcome to Create Your Best Life with Rex. I'm your host, Rex Sykes, and it's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for tuning in live or in replay. In a little bit, I'll have my co-host, Danny Welsh, join us. But first, let me tell you about my guest. It is Mr. Erik. So stick with me on this. Mr. Erik, Mr. Awesome Swanson. And I'll tell you about that in just a second. But Erik Swanson is an award-winning international keynote speaker, a multi-time number one best-selling author in 9 different categories of success, and nicknamed, here we go, Mr. Awesome by notable speakers Les Brown and Brian Tracy. Look, Erik is in great demand all around the world, and he speaks to an average of more than 1 million people a year. And he's honored to be invited to speak at the Business and Entrepreneurial School of Harvard University, as well as joining the TED Talk family with his latest TEDx talk called A Dose of Awesome. He's the founder and creator of the super popular Habitude Warrior Conference and Masterminds, Speaker Hearts, as well as Global Speakers Mastermind and Master Classes. And so without any further ado, I'm going to invite Danny to show up, and we're going to bring up Mr. Erik Swanson. Danny, it's great to see you. Welcome here. I'm excited about our guest. I know you've been chatting with him for a little while in the background even before I could show up. So what say you about today?
It's going to be awesome. I'm sort of like looking at this and I see all the books and all the things that Mr. Awesome is involved in. I can't wait to bring him up. Should we bring him on the screen?
Well, let's bring him on the screen.
Let's do it.
Hey!
Now, not only is he Mr. Awesome, he truly is awesome. I'm lucky to call him a friend and a brother, and we're hanging out together, and it is so good to have you here, Erik. How are you?
Oh, thanks so much, man. Appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. I'm just super glad to be here. How can we serve?
Well, and that's what we'll talk about. So let's dive in. You know, you have accomplished so many different things, and you've got a number of books that you published about success and principles of success. But before we get into any of that, there are people who are going to go, okay, so how did you do it? You know, what was it that inspired you? And then how did you get to create the different kinds of business opportunities that you now have?
I love the question. Well, I just went like that. I snapped an instant success. Yeah, exactly. Right. That's the way it is. A friend of mine used to say, people see the glory, they don't see the story. And it's how I did it. Okay, here we go. 25 years of our heartache and pounding the streets and doing the thing and getting up in the morning and pep talking yourself, right? Every single day. So it's that's how I did it. And perseverance is the key, constantly going the next day. And then I got smart, Rex and Danny. Then I decided, well, instead of doing it for me, which I did do it for me for the first 8-10 years, it was all, you know what I mean? Like you get in the business of whatever business and you're like, oh, entrepreneurship, that sounds fun. Let's work more hours for zero pay. That's perfect. So then I was like, well, I'm going to build. And, I didn't have it. I had success, but I didn't have as much until I realized it's all about building other people. And then about 8 or 10 years into my career, I flipped it, right? It's what I call the mindset flip. And now it's just everything just skyrocketed. Now I've got, I have my own library here. Apparently I've got like 30 books in the marketplace now and over 250 authors that are number one bestsellers and really cool stuff. So there you go. That's me in a nutshell, man.
Well, that's really cool. And I would submit 2 things. One is I think it is so true and so accurate. I know things that you talk about, things that I talk about, things Danny talks about, is the difference between when the focus is just on ourselves and making money, it seems like a huge struggle. Mm-hmm. When the focus is on serving other people and uplifting and edifying other people, suddenly it gets so much easier because it takes the focus off of us, puts it where it ought to be. And then as servants, for some reason, call it universe, call it karma, call it whatever you want to call it. For some reason, it does seem to get so much easier. And I would also submit the second piece was the mindset piece that you said, it's the idea that some people struggle and persist and pull themselves up by their bootstraps, and other people somehow have this magical way of saying, you know what, this is good. I love what I'm doing. And they don't see the struggle. They don't, it's not a burden because it's something that they truly, truly love.
Right. Yeah. I want to address that real quick. It's like this. It's like, you're waiting for the bus and you're like, oh, I need to get this bus. This bus is so cool. The cool kids are on it. Like, I need to get it. And then you miss it. You're like, and you get all upset for like a time period, right? It's all about, I was talking to my mentor, my dear, dear friend, Brian Tracy, the other day, and it's all about time. It's all about timing, so I missed the bus. Okay. And I see it go and it's like, oh, there they go. And then the timing, what's the timing? Well, the next bus is coming in an hour, let's say, or is it a month or is it a year? Like I wish I stayed back. I'm a November baby. Okay. November 22nd. And I wish I'd stayed back, but they put me in, they're like, oh no, go, September is the date, but for school. And I went into that class, whatever. I wish I stayed back. I wish I missed that bus. So then, because guess what? The other bus is coming and all the other cool kids are on that bus. So miss the bus. Okay. Like literally plan to miss the bus so that you can be really on top of your game without worrying about like, what did I miss? That FOMO. I have JOMO, all right? Joy of missing out. So there you go. Flip it back to you guys.
Well, I would staying with that analogy for a second. There have been times in my life in the past when I would, be getting on a bus in Los Angeles. I hitchhiked for a year and a half. I didn't have a car and things like that. And so I take a bus occasionally, which I loathed most of the time. And at that time, but if I were really excited about where I was going, I didn't notice the waiting for the bus. But if I, on the other hand, were waiting for the bus and going, oh God, is the bus going to come, or it's late, or it's this, or it's that, or, it's going to take me 3 hours to get to the beach, on a bus, then it was a very different experience. So it had to do really with either I was into the joy of arriving at some place, or I was worried about, getting there or something. And that very difference makes a difference.
It does. Yeah. And look, Rex, what it does is it gives you peace. That's what it does for me. Like create the missing the bus. Okay. Like literally seek out a way that you can miss the bus, whatever the bus is, whether it's this weekend and something's happening or whether it's this year, just give yourself the break, and excel even higher and better for yourself by giving yourself that peace. And it's amazing what that does for me. It's amazing. And then I flipped it. So it wasn't about me. It's all about helping others. And the more I help others, the more the boat rises for everyone. It's really cool stuff.
There are people who will not move unless it gets really, really bad. And then there are those other people who are constantly moving forward towards something better. And in the personal development industry, oftentimes, people are always going, you got to do your best. The world's going to hell in a handbasket. And if you're not prepared, you're going to fall apart. So do your best, seek your best, be your best. And it's kind of like nobody ever just says, you know what, you're pretty cool the way you are. Yeah. Take a break for a second and appreciate yourself. And then come back refreshed and renewed, understanding who you are and your place in the world. Sometimes the marketing of self-help is part of the problem. I would submit.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, should be team help instead of self-help, right?
Well, what I mean is, I love take a moment and go ahead and miss the bus.
Yeah,
you don't have to always be hammering yourself.
Right. It's so true. It's amazing. The author of Energy Bus is going to be mad at us, but yeah, just miss it. Miss the bus. Create those opportunities. Create more opportunities by giving yourself, because otherwise we're all stressed out about things. I'm sick of being stressed out. I was stressed out in the 90s and the 20s or whatever you call the 2000s. I don't know what you call it, but I was stressed out. I was stressed out about calling it whatever I was trying to call it. And then I realized, look, I'm no longer stressing out. I picked a few years back, actually about 5 years ago. I said, all right, I'm going to go off the grid. This is actually before pandemic. It's like I'm off the grid, and the more I said no to things, the more yes things came to my attention and my plate. And it's like, cool, I get to pick really what I really want to focus in on. So pretty cool stuff.
So I want to ask one more thing, and then I want Danny to jump in. But a lot of people have a lot on their plate, and it's a lot. Some of it's a lot of turmoil. Some of it's a lot of overwhelm. There's just too many things happening, or too many things that are falling apart, and they're not getting where they want to go, and they tend to spiral down, and or they tend to try and ramp it up instead of spiraling down. They're trying to overwork, and they exhaust themselves. How did you find peace? How did you say, I'm going to stop and jump off the rat race and then come back renewed? Because
okay, I love the question. I'm going to ask a different question to answer your part of the question. So let's take two sides of the screen here, this side and that side, whichever side. Both my sides of the screen are awesome, but whatever. We'll just pick one as negative. So you said a lot of people are thinking of, well, there's a lot of turmoil in their life. There's a lot of this going on. There's a lot of that going on. Name how many things are going on. Let's just give me an example. One person has what, 5, 6 things, 10 things?
Oh, at least. I mean, I get emails every day with people going
20, 30. Yeah, give me a number.
Yeah, go ahead. Go with more.
Just give me a number. 40?
Sure.
100? 100 bad things. Okay. So I'm just asking you, like, what's going on? Like 100 bad things over here. Okay, cool. In an infinite possibility of a universe of awesomeness, don't you think there's more than 100 good things going on rather than the 100 bad things in one person's life? So all I do is this. I look this way. I look at this way, and I say this will work its way out. If people are worrying about bills, guess what? They'll contact you. Don't worry. They'll get in touch with you. All right. Like, it reminds me of my friend Wayne Dyer back in the day when he was alive. He would say, he'd say, read a chapter a day. Like, I write a lot of books. I write more books than I read now. So he says, read a chapter a day and find a place that you can read a chapter a day or a chapter an hour or 3 chapters a day. Just start somewhere. And I was thinking, all right, I'm going to start in the car. So I started in the car. I got one of Wayne's books, Your Erroneous Zones and Gifts from Icus, and so many different amazing books that I have an original Your Erroneous Zones from Wayne Dyer. So I'm in my car and I stop at a stoplight and I read 1 or 2 quick chapters. And guess what? Someone will tell you when it's time to go.
Right.
They're honking at you, and that's what this side is all about. The sides that, look, if you focus in on the negative will show. Why don't you start focusing on the heart of the awesomeness? I'm not saying you focus on awesomeness, Danny as well. I'm just saying, like, for the rest of us, if somebody's, to answer your question, that's what it's a simple answer. My simple answer is stop focusing on the negative. Yeah, but. Okay. Yeah, but. All right. Yeah, but my good friend Glenn Morshower is an actor in tons of movies. He can't even count how many movies he's in. And he does a lot of improv. And he says, yes, and, not yeah, but. Yeah, but negates everything you just talked about. Yeah, but. Life is good. Yeah, but this is happening. So stop negating the positive. The positive's over here, or whichever side of the screen you want to look at. So that's my quick answer and that's what I do. I literally look at that. Now, I'm not saying I sweep the negative under the rug, but sometimes I do. I look at things and either, I dedicate or I delegate. You pick. Either dedicate your awesomeness to it or delegate to somebody else. I don't want it. This is for you. Here you go.
Yeah, I love it because people, if they could, will make that difficult. They'll say, I don't know how to shift. I don't know how to stop my foot. Instead of, and by the way, we could talk about this forever because I actually have a workshop on yes, but, and yes, and. I mean, I do a whole thing. I've got a webinar of it. And it is truly, I always say it's easier done than thought. Because when people think about it, they go, oh, that's too hard. But if they just do it, they find out it's pretty easy.
They get in their own mind, yeah. And then they get in their own mind, and then they talk to their doctors about it. The doctors are their mom, the brother, the sister, the dog, the cat, the stubbing your toe on the way out, the 150 degrees. I'm in my Scottsdale home right now, and we are confined to inside. Okay, so it's 149 degrees outside, I think. So the point is, like, look at the positive. Okay, bacon and eggs. I don't need a pot and pan. Just gonna go outside, put it on my driveway. We're good. This is gonna be awesome. So I say that in jest, but look at the positive, guys. Like, why are we focusing in on all the negatives and yeah buts and taking advice from people who don't have the qualifications to actually give you the right answers that you can strive yourself to the next level? I run a lot of masterminds, as you guys know, and it's all about seeking counsel from people who have been in those situations before and moved through that fire, through that turmoil, instead of guessing and saying, like when I wanted to become a #1 bestseller, I'm a 30-time #1 bestseller now. It's crazy. Like, it's nuts. It's crazy. But the first time I didn't go and, ask my buddy, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? How should I do it? They're like, I have no idea. And, instead, I go to Sharon Lecter, I go to Jack Canfield, or I go to Brian Tracy. These are my friends. By the way, who are your friends? I'm saying that for everyone. Who are your friends? Who are you hanging around with? I know, Rex, who you hang around with, and Danny, I know you were talking about who you're hanging around. That dude's pretty cool. We're talking about earlier. These people are look. I'll use that person as an example. Danny, we don't have to mention the name, but just that person right there. A lot of people are seeking out, going, how do I get to know that guy? I don't care. Like, how does that guy get to know me? You know what I mean? Like, that's the quality. It's like bringing the awesomeness, the brilliance of you as a human being to the attention of people, and not seeking out approval, but looking at building value, right? Lisa Nichols and I were talking the other day about things like this, like bringing the value to the world and changing the world, the movement of it, rather than, the thought pattern, like you're saying, Rex, like people get in their own head. They're diagnosing their own problems instead of looking at it and saying, all right, I'm going to go with somebody. Like, for instance, I'll give you another instance or example. You may think that I'm okay, doing all right here. All right, Erik, Mr. Awesome. Yes, Mr. Awesome is my nickname. I mean, right there, that should tell you something, right? And I didn't self-proclaim my nickname. So you may think and realize I got pretty good ideas. So if you want to change your life, join me. That's as simple as that. You want to change your life on the yeah buts, go through Rex's workshop. If you want to learn how to market the crap out of yourself in the best possible way to get the fastest and best results in the smallest amount of time and make the most amount of impact, talk to Danny. Try to figure out what he's saying, because his accent's a little thick. Who cares? Find out, right? And ask if you can wear his hat someday. Maybe he'll give it to you, right? There you go. So here's my answer. Mic drop. Boom.
On top of that, I happen to know you a little bit behind the scenes, and I think you're a really good guy. I mean, you're a good friend. You're concerned, you're caring. You step up, you step out, and meet people where they're at, and then go the extra mile and beyond. So
I'm all right.
I have my hat off to you, Danny. You tip it a little bit, but no, you are. You are awesome, and you are a really good guy. And I'm going to pass the mic to Danny, who's been sitting patiently, going, I have things I want to ask. I have things that
he's taking notes.
So many things. I've literally got notes. An amazing journey, an amazing career.
Sorry to interrupt you, Danny. Can you put the text on the bottom so everyone can understand what you're saying?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, man. Continue, dude. Love your accent.
We have to do that, right? It translates it into different languages. Mr. Awesome, you opened the conversation earlier with "How can I serve?" That was like literally the opening line. And there's a thing about asking that question, right? It's like, how can I serve? And that sort of ties into, how do I get this person to know me a little bit? What's sort of like, expand on that for us, and how can people shift their thinking from that what can I do today to how can I serve, and how much of an impact has that kind of had for you?
Yeah,
all this stuff.
Oh, great question. Okay, so this is going to be a really weird answer, but I love using analogies and movies. So, are you familiar with the movie Swingers with Vince Vaughn? I'm friends with his mom, actually. Vince Vaughn and John Favreau and everybody, right? Okay, so we know the movie. So John Favreau was he's one of the characters in the movie. He just moved to LA, I think, from New York, maybe, and he just broke up with his girlfriend. And he's like going through a hard time. He's really, really trying to figure this out. And he's like really bummed, really depressed. And the friend comes up and says, "Look, man, I've been there before. You know, they're at a diner, they're chatting." He goes, "I just don't know what to do." He goes, "The best thing you need to do and you should do is better yourself. Better yourself." And John's like, "Okay, I could do that. That's a good idea. But what about Susie or whatever her name was? You know, will she see? Oh yeah, she's going to see you bettering yourself. Will she want to be with me then? Well, that's the thing. Is you're bettering yourself, and guess what? Yes, she's going to want to be with you. But here's the rub. He called it the rub or the rope. Here's the rope, or maybe it's the rub. He goes. You're not going to want to go back to that situation. You as an entity are going to change. Your cellular makeup is going to change. So you're not going to want to. You're not going to need that approval from Susie in this case. Okay. Same thing I was just talking about a second ago, Danny. You know, we're chatting with, you're working with some high-powered individuals. We've talked about it offline. And, people seek to reach these people, right? I don't personally, because, look, I'd love to. That's great. Let's go grab a beer, even though I don't drink. And that's cool. Let's see how I can help you. Because once you, if you do the analogy, do I want to connect with individuals who are changing lives? Yes, and that's one of them, right? Have I done this before? Yes. All of the people in my number one best-selling books, the 13 Steps to Riches, I have 13 celebrities that are huge, high-powered. I mean, Rex knows who I'm talking about. And we're talking about people who are impactful around the globe. How did I meet them? It's because, well, did I have a desire to meet them? Sure. Did I really, was I gonna change my whole life to meet them? No. That's the rub. Once you seek the awesomeness and you're not seeking approval, then the approval comes and you're like, cool, now I'm changing their life as well. I guarantee you, all 13 of the people, just in my one book series, I'll name, here, I'll give you an example. Dennis Waitley, Dr. Dennis Waitley, NASA's performance coach, okay, wrote the very first, it's up here as well, very first book with me in this book series right here, and among 12 other amazing individuals. Dennis Waitley and I are super great friends. I text him 3, 4, 5 times a week just to check on him. You know what he said to me the other day? He goes, "Erik, you're a true friend. Most people call me just so I can be on another summit. I could be doing this. I could do that. I could do an endorsement." I'm like, I call everyone dude when I'm really friends with them, or dudette if it's, like Sharon Lecter or something. But I said, dude, to Dennis, I go, I just love you, man. I just want to share me with you and you with me. And that's what I'm looking for. And how can I help you? How can I serve? And he's like, wow, that's not common these days. And isn't that sad, Danny and Rex, that it's not common these days? All right. Hopefully that answered your question. Don't know if I did.
It's an interesting thing. And you touched on a little bit about, I guess I wrote down permission, and you kind of went into this because you've got to give yourself permission to go out there and do that, right? And even ask that question and get yourself in front of people with the right intentions.
Mm-hmm.
People get caught up on the permission thing and they look for validation, which I don't think is the same. What's your thoughts or thinking around that permission validation? Is that a hamster wheel to nowhere? I don't know. What's your thinking?
No, it's not a hamster. It's very simple. Well, it's a hamster wheel for most people, but for me, it's really simple. For you, Danny, and for Rex, very simple. We look to give ourselves permission. We look to change people's lives, yet we don't look for recognition. That's it. There's your secret formula. That's it.
Maybe there's a book in that somewhere, or if it's already in there. Well,
I'm sure there is. There's the book of know, like, and trust. Yeah,
that's coming. But I want to say this because I so agree with that, and I have I've said for a long time, and I've written much about that, and that's not what matters. But I agree in that leaders don't call themselves leaders. Other people call them leaders. The leaders don't talk about themselves like, oh, I'm a leader and I'm this and I'm that and I'm all those things. The other people do that. You can almost always tell who's a genuine leader because of the walk that they walk and the talk that they talk, and it's not about them. A bus driver or a tour guide doesn't go, I'm a tour guide and I'm so cool, and by the way, I'm doing all these incredible things. But what they do is they tell you what to look out for and what you might find that's really cool, and they serve. I mean, and that's how you know them, is by their service. And that's what I really appreciate about you and what you say and what you do for all the people that you do serve in the world. So that's wonderful, because there are too many people who it's about them and not really, they say they serve, but it's about them. And I've been in this business 50 years, so, at least. And the thing about it is that you see these people come in and they count heads in a program or a mastermind. They go, I could do that. I could make a fortune if I did that. And they have no desire to serve. It's just another income opportunity, like a fast, if they knew how much it used, especially in the old days when there was overhead that was different than today. A lot of online stuff is different than it was, with 4-color brochures and graphics and mailing cards. Once they found out how difficult it was to fill a room, many of them dropped out. Or I would say virtually all of them drop out. But so it is truly the service. I want to take a moment. I'm going to pass it back to Danny to say, there are comments in the chat room. I don't know. I don't see them here, but there are comments in the chat room. I haven't seen them on the screen. And for those of you watching live or replay, if you have questions of Erik, please go ahead and ask. If you've got comments, please do say that. Go ahead, hit likes and all that kind of stuff. And be sure to share this out whether you're watching live or in replay. So, and because we stream to multiple platforms, not everything is seen and not all the numbers are there. So just hang in and share it and enjoy it. And we love you. And thank you for being here and watching us and watching Erik.
Yeah, so good, and such an amazing journey. You mentioned 13 steps to riches. Now, is it as clear cut as 13 exact steps? Are they little steps, big steps, side steps?
There are a lot of side steps. I'm assuming. There's a little book called Think and Grow Rich that was written in 1937, and it was done by a gentleman named Napoleon Hill, and he included 13 steps to riches. And what I did was I became close friends with a gentleman named Don Green, who's the president of Napoleon Hill Foundation. And back years ago, about eight or 9 years ago, I had this idea, this dream, and I said I've got this idea. I'd like to bring his 13 steps to riches, to the forefront of today's era. Today's millennials and the millennials, whatever the heck that's called now. So, and he says, okay, great idea. And I said, well, I want to do it in a different way, though. I'd like to dedicate or delegate. I'd like to dedicate each step to a different book. So there'll be 13 books in the series, and I'll include 33 authors and 13 celebrities in it. And he gave me the blessing after we went through and talked to the powers to be. And, I'm happy to say that even the living grandson, JB, from Napoleon Hill's grandson, he's going to be in actually, he's writing a foreword for one of the books coming up, and just so excited about this. So they're 13, they're literally 13. They're probably all back here. There you go. There are 13 of them. The first one, the step is Desire with Dennis Waitley. And the second one is Faith with Sharon Lecter and myself. And it goes on. Auto suggestion to specialized knowledge, imagination, organized planning, decision-making, persistence, masterminds. Did that one with Brian Tracy. Transmutation, subconscious mind, the brain with John Asroff, and Kevin Harrington's rounding out our 13 steps with the Sixth Sense. So pretty cool stuff.
Very cool stuff. We've got some links. We can put them up in a little while and show people how they can tap into the amazing book collection that you've got there. But if you flick to any page in that book, Just like grab the book, open it up, flick to a page. What's one takeaway you can give somebody right away from that that's going to, one, encourage them to go and get the book, but also it's going to give them some empowerment and motivation right now on the stream, whether they're watching live or on the replay?
I love the question. So it's all about decision making, and that's the random. I'm going to just pick it randomly. There you go, decisions. Everything starts with a decision. Everything starts with your mindset. And like Rex and I were talking a little bit ago here, making that decision, making that mind flip. Well, are you going to flip your mind in a good, positive way, making that decision, or a negative way? So what is your decision-making process, and is number one. And number two is, are you going to take action on that decision? It's one thing to make a decision, right? I like pizza and I want pizza, but if I'm not going to make a decision to make the phone call to get pizza, I'm not getting pizza. So I do like to say the word pizza, though, apparently. So making the decision is really, really important. Like you, Danny, you're a go-getter. I can tell already. How can I tell that you're a go-getter? I mean, honestly, there's telltale signs for me. One is you're in clearly that's not your background. I hope. I mean, look at the flower. It's beautiful. So it's a beautiful flower. I just don't see you having a flower behind you in your screen. So clearly I know you're not in your place, and you'd mentioned where you are, and you'd mentioned where you came from. So Brian Tracy taught me this years ago, where it doesn't necessarily matter where you're going. It matters that you make a decision to go. And make that, it does matter where you go, of course, but make that decision first to get off the couch or go grab the book, pay full price too. I do this all the time. I buy 2 copies of the same book. Like, there you go. Here's one of the books. I buy 2 copies of the same book. I get one for me to write in it and to, scratch it all up and make notes. And the other one I gift out to someone who needs it, because you'll find that person who needs it. So I always buy 2 copies. A lot of us these days, not me, but a lot of people that we know say, "Oh, is it on Amazon? Can I get it cheaper?" Right. Well, look, when you get it cheaper, look, you're literally cheaping yourself. I always go. I wrote in one of my books years ago called Social Millions. I teach people how to pay full price, and you'll get it back tenfold, and always go VIP. And I know this about you, Danny, because I know you. I'm not letting people know where you are, but I know where you are, and you flew from, I believe, Manchester to this city, and then you've got another stop in Texas and another stop in Sochi. You're a go-getter. You're an action taker, and that's the type of person. Like, if I were hiring, not that you're looking for a job, but if I were hiring somebody to do something, let's say I've got a project coming up, which I've got 9 projects at all times. Let's say I have one. I look for the busiest people first, because those are the action takers. Those are the people who are going to, and instead of the other people who have time to make sure they think about it, and then they say, I wonder how much the pay is. I wonder if there's vacation time. I wonder if they'll buy me lunch. Buy you lunch? Really? Are you going to invest in yourself to come to it? We just ran a Speaker Hearts event, and I'm happy to say we sold out. It was amazing. Boom, Speaker Hearts, awesome. And everyone has a heart, and we teach people. If you're a speaker, we teach you how to bring that heart to the forefront of the world. And I'm happy to say we sold out, and not only did we sell out, we did not allow a few people to come to the event because they had those questions. They're like, "What's for lunch?" I go, "What's for lunch?" It's like the Seinfeld episode with the soup guy. I forgot what he said, but it's like, really?
No soup for you.
Yes, no soup, no Speaker Hearts event for you. So back to you guys.
Well, and funny enough, Larry Thomas, who played the Soup Nazi, is a good friend of mine, and he has ventured. I mean, from that one part, he is 30 years later still doing it. Yep. Oh, there you go, Mr. Awesome. No soup for you.
Yeah, he just sent me this the other day.
Oh yeah, no, Larry's a great guy. It's an interesting thing, and I think it should be noted, because a lot of people who are watching people who are doing seminars and webinars and offering programs online or off, think, oh, they're just trying to get me to part with my money. They just want me to do that. Some maybe, I agree. But the idea of not allowing people to come in is an important piece of the process because, the idea of one bad apple spoiling the bunch, those people like yourself, Danny, myself, and some other people, we so value the process and the ability to have people come together kind of as a family to study, to learn, to grow, to develop, to contribute, and to transform, that you don't want everybody to be there because not everybody, I should say, is qualified to be there at that particular time. That's right. So it's there is a vetting process. There is this thing of turning people away. I want to move from that back to something that you said because it's truly important.
May I just interrupt and say one thing?
Oh, of course, of course.
Okay, Rex, you just made me cringe in my seat. And I don't know if you noticed my eye was like this. I was like, oh, like when you said something like, I don't even want to repeat it, but I don't know how you worded it. You said a lot of people or some people or whatever think that people are putting together events to part with their money or whatever it is. I don't even put that in my mindset. In fact, I can't believe you, Rex, even brought that to this. I know why you brought it up. It's because maybe that is in the universe. I guess. I don't know. I'm in my home in Scottsdale. I keep it's 1,000 degrees outside, so I keep my doors shut. But I keep my doors shut for that negative question. It's like it's just. And I know, of course, I'm not. I mean, this is your interview, and clearly you brought that up for attention for people to realize the positive instead of negative. But I don't even go there. I don't even know why. I've trained myself so much that I don't want to even bring that to my brain, that is a possibility out there. I know it's important to bring up, but man, I maybe I'm just an anomaly.
Well, there's a difference between bringing it up and entertaining it.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
So I mean, because Napoleon Hill would say, put yourself in your three-walled castle kind of thing, and don't let certain things in. So I completely agree. But at the same time, there are people who are watching this, and people who that's where they go. And we can't put the flash.
Do people who are watching you guys, aren't they like super?
You would hope. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, we need to do more of these. Let's go 9 more hours because we need more.
We serve all kinds. We serve all people. I mean, because I mean, think about it. This goes out to this goes out on YouTube. So whoever watches it, I hope that the person watching it who we just addressed goes, I had never thought about it that way, and then begins to think about it differently. For you and I or Danny or somebody else, you don't have to entertain it.
Of course, right? No, that's a good point.
But I wanted to say, because you brought up something earlier, and all of this kind of fits together, and that would be, there's this, and I kind of changed it, but people say, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and I say, well, that's partly true, but the first step is inside your head. You have to decide to go on the journey, and then the next step is on the planet. And what you're saying about, making a decision and then acting, a lot of people are encouraged to take all sorts of actions, and they spin their wheels, and they don't take fruitful action or right action because they haven't developed the mindset, or they haven't made a powerful decision, or they don't have the desire, which, we know from Hill or from others, that it first starts here and then it goes there. So can you share some of the strategies that you would teach for your students, for the people watching, or the people we just addressed with the, oh my God, I can't believe you said that, Rex, for harnessing the positivity and harnessing those thoughts and creating those kind of good habits that they want to, because a lot of people wish to change, but they don't actually change for whatever reasons. Can you suggest some tips or strategies or approaches that you might encourage?
Yeah, of course. And I'm going to go fast. So here we go, because there's a lot to it. And I love uncovering this. I love it. Okay. Number one is Bob Proctor did have it right. Thoughts are things. So that's number one. Thoughts are things. They're literally things. Like if you want to develop something, well, it needs to be here first. This brain, this amazing computer of awesomeness, nothing happens until something happens here. Even AI doesn't happen until something happens here first. So that's number one. Number two is Roger Bannister, 1954. Write it down. Yes, 1954. 4-minute mile underneath the 4-minute mile. Nobody had done it before. After that, 16 other people did it within 6 months. Why? Because they had the brain power and the attitude. So now you're connecting here with here, the desire and the heart. Well, that's why it's called speaker hearts, right? Boom, I should wear this emblem here. Let me wear it right now. It's all about putting your mindset and giving yourself that heart. And then what else do you need? The other ingredient, Danny and I were just talking about before, permission. You got to give yourself permission to get your ass off the couch and move to the next level. Permission to say, yes, I can be a #1 best-selling author. Permission to say, Marie Diamond, I co-wrote this with Marie Diamond from The Secret. Really? She would take my call? Time out. Would I take her call? Yes, I did. And this got developed, right? Same thing we're talking about, Danny. Same thing for all these things. Like this one, we honored Zig Ziglar in the Book of Mentors here. Amazing, right? So the point is, this 340-page book with all the different celebrities that are in here. Oh my gosh. The #1 coach in UFC, John Hackelman, right there. Okay. This doesn't happen. I mean, Glover Teixeira trained under him. Chuck Liddell trained under. This doesn't happen. Chef Bruno Serrato. Okay. CNN Man of the Year. This doesn't happen until I give myself permission to answer their phone calls.
I love
give yourself this permission, guys. It really, truly give yourself the permission to realize thoughts are things, create it. You can create anything. But my main mentor for 25 years ago, I started working with Brian Tracy. He told me, and by the way, here's another example. I have 2 laptops of the same exact. Here's my laptop, and I'm on my other laptop. It's the same laptop, same exact thing. I've got you pulled up, by the way. I was going to share. Same exact laptop, same thing. Everything's the same in here. It's souped up on that one. It's souped up on this one. Why do I have 2? People think I'm crazy. Why do I literally have 2 laptops? Well, I keep one upstairs in my house and one downstairs. They're connected. I take one with me in the car to any coffee shop. I leave the other one at the house. Right? It's convenience for me. Why am I yelling at this? Because this is really important. But the point is, this right here. Brian Tracy told me this. He goes, this is 25 years ago. He said this. He goes, you can go anywhere in any country and walk through any customs. And they say, are you bringing in anything, any cash, over 10,000 or whatever it is? Or well, I'm bringing in a multi-million-dollar company. Really? Well, you need to declare that. Well, I don't need to declare it. It's in my mind. And then it's going to be on this laptop, and it's going to be built in wherever the heck I'm going to, Manchester, England. All right, we're going to be doing a speaker hearts in Manchester as well. So everything is thoughts. Everything. My whole company is built off of thoughts. 3 of the companies. The 4th one as well. So there you go. Reminds me also, I'll share just a funny story. Friends, TV show Friends, Joey from Friends. Remember the time where, he's an actor, and remember the time where he walks into Chandler's office or something, and he gets a job or something there. Right. There's something about like, I've got 2 kids and a house in the burbs. Really? You have 2 kids? Yeah, wait. I think we just had a 3rd one. It's just thoughts, just done. Anyway,
I remember that episode well. It's very charming, and he gets himself in trouble because his character that he develops wouldn't do things and starts ratting Chandler out. It's beautiful. And it was a great, but it does show you the power of imagination and how important it can be. Absolutely.
And let me ask you guys, I'm going to flip the channel here for a second. Let me ask both of you. I'm just curious about what your answer is. Why do you think it's convenient for me to have 2? Why do you think I should give myself permission to have 2 laptops? Same thing. These laptops are $3,000 each or $4,000 each, whatever it is, souped up, right? And most people don't give themselves permission because they can't. I can't even say the word, the A word. I'm not going to say it. They say to themselves, I can't. Whatever that word is. Yeah, I don't want to say it. Well, what are your thoughts on that? I'm just curious, both of you guys.
I think it's likened to, I forget the name, but the guy drops $100 bill. It costs him more to bend down and pick it up, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like for you to go upstairs, grab the laptop, then go back downstairs, then get in. It's like you might as well be on your way to the place with the other one. that time saving multiplied over however long is like a big bunch of time. That's
exactly right.
It
all comes down to time. It's exactly right. It all comes down to time. It's not only convenience; it's a necessity and a requirement for me.
So flip it back though is like if you had to go upstairs and grab the laptop and put it in the bag and you had one, it's like what would that cost equate to? How much money? How many laptops could you buy for that?
Mm-hmm. It's true. Yeah. And we say the upstairs and downstairs thing. I mean, that's a pretty quick example, but it extends. It extends. I mean, I've had occasions, instances where someone's like, "Oh, I'd love to join your live. I don't have a laptop. I don't have any way to do it. Here you go. Use mine. Let's go. You sit over there. I'll sit over here. So we're not in ear. There's no feedback, but we're good to go. There's so many different reasons why I usually have two of everything. Two of everything is typically what I do. Go ahead. What do you think, Rex? What are your thoughts on
this? I would answer it this way. Who you are determines what you do, and that results in what you have. Mm-hmm. And most people have it the other way around. They want lots of things, so they do all sorts of stuff to become somebody else. Mm-hmm. And if you already know that you're worth it and that you deserve it and that the world is abundant and that you are right where you're supposed to be, then anything and everything's available to you, whether it's VIP, first class, or the top of the line. So the people who are saying they can't, it or whatever, as Maxwell Maltz would say, self-image is everything. So who are you? And I would begin there. And I know as well as I could know who you are. I understand who you are, and I again tip my proverbial hat.
Thank you. And another question then I love asking. A friend of mine who used to work with Tony Robbins, and she was homeless for years and years, and she changed her whole mindset. She's a dear friend of mine for years. She always used to say, "Where else does that show up in your life?" So think about it. Like, you're not even going to afford the top of the line, whatever. Well, where else is that showing up in your life? If you're saying no to yourself, if you're listening to this, if you're saying no to yourself of how to afford it, or I don't want to spend the money on myself, yet you expect other people to spend money on you. That's my question. Like I used to train after working with Brian Tracy for about 3 years or 4 years. They trusted me to go ahead and train all of North America, US and Canada, for all the auto dealerships everywhere. And I would run into Grant all the time. Grant Cardone used to be he and I would run into auto dealerships all the time. That's where he got his start. And I just remember, like, here I am going into these auto dealerships, and I'm selling whatever I'm selling, or I guess back then we're selling training for Brian Tracy stuff. And here they're selling their vehicles, their whatever it is. I was working in Mercedes-Benz. I was working in this company, that company, and then I thought to myself, well, if I'm going to really walk the walk, why don't I invest in myself? So that year I set a goal, and I hit that goal, and I bought my 911 Porsche Turbo, and went in and said, okay, well, here you go. And you know what happened? I guarantee that Porsche cost me a lot of money. Okay. It was $96,000 back then, which was a lot of money back then. It still probably is now. And it was a seal gray, charcoal seal gray. It was amazing. I loved it. I was ready for it for a whole year. Finally, I got it. I walked into the next, that next Monday, and I drove. Guess what? I had a little pep in my step. I had even my suit looked better. It was the same suit, but I looked much better. I got out of it, and I guarantee you, we used to sell tickets and training. I guarantee you guys, Rex and Danny, as I stepped out of the car and people saw me, the employees, the sales guys, I sold like 4 tickets without me even saying a word. Okay, like literally, they've already bought in their own mind. They're like, I'm in. Whatever this guy's selling, I'm in. Because you know what? They realized that I was the true, genuine person, that I love this vehicle. This is one of my goals. I set a decision, just like Napoleon Hill and all the different things I learned for years. And I wasn't some schmo renting the car. It was actually mine. And They probably saw that because it said Mr. Awesome on the license plate, and they're like, "Who's this guy?" But after the sting of "Who's this guy?" and "What's he got?" Alec Baldwin, the Cadillac Ginsu knife thing from Glengarry Glen Ross movie back in the day. After they realized this guy is the real deal, then they realize, okay, if he could do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
So where else is this showing up in your lives? Where else is it not showing up in your lives? And ask yourself, take an inventory, not a physical inventory, but a mental inventory. Ooh, there's got to be a book in there somewhere, right, Danny? The mental inventory. Ooh, I like that. The book of mental inventory. I'm going to order that right now on GoDaddy. This is why I have 2 laptops. Continue.
Yeah, go. Right. You buy the domain. I'll try and beat you to it, right? So
you guys go for it. So the I've also spent 50 years in the film business, both in front of the camera and behind the camera. And one of the things that, when I consult or teach about the film business, a lot of people want to meet Steven Spielberg. They want to meet all these people, and they're willing to rush up and go, "Here's my script. Here's my picture and resume. Well, hire me." And so what I love, because it's true, everybody wants something from people in the position of authority or power. And so they rush to them. They come as beggars, by going, "Hey, can you help me? I want to get ahead. I want to do this. I need this. I need that. Here's my picture. Here's my resume. If I only had a break, could you do this?" So, when I teach and I consult, I often tell people, especially like when you think about a movie company where they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars every second to make a movie, when they're crewing or casting, one of the considerations that they have, they don't voice it, but that they have is, would I take this person on a camping trip? Is this person a team player? Do they have a pleasing personality? Are they somebody who's going to collaborate and cooperate? Are they going to work? Are they going to grumble? Are they going to complain? Are they going to whine? Are they going to do it and go the extra mile and be there, after the hours and everything? Do I want them on this camping trip with me? And if the answer is no, you're not going to get the job. And if you meet Steven Spielberg in the elevator and you go, "Here's my screenplay," he's going to say, hang on to it. I don't want to carry your screenplay around. He might be polite, but in other words, what so many people fail to realize is, if you offer value to them and contribute to someone in a way, if you serve others as opposed to ask for things, then they will ask you for, what do you have? So if you're, but I mean, if your attitude is, you're my colleague, you're a peer with me, not you're the God and I'm the humble, but you realize that people are people. And they all put their pants on, one leg at a time kind of thing, man or woman, and that they're in it with you, and they may have accomplished things in an area that you haven't yet, but understand that you're worth it, you deserve it, and if you have it to share and, value to can give, then give it and demonstrate your worth to others instead of asking people, and you won't come off as a beggar, you come off as a person who is somebody worth knowing.
Yes. For sure. And you hit it on the nail there, Rex, in regard to, like, look, nobody's better. People are people. People are people. All right. So people are people, and everyone's even. Everyone's equal. Everyone's using the same. Are we using the same air? Interesting. So we bring in air. We do things the same. But yet I'll use the word yet rather than but. Yet some people do things in their brilliance, and they realize that. Some people do. Brian Tracy, Russell Brunson, Rex Sykes, Sharon Lecter, Erik Swanson. All right, I'm going to get to you, Danny. Danny Walsh. He raised his hand. So we all do things in different ways. Taking example, Grant Cardone or Russell Brunson or Don Green, president of Napoleon Hill. I bet I'm better than all 3 of them at ping pong. Guarantee you, I'm pretty darn good. Would I take their money? Yep. They might be better, let's say better in certain areas, marketing or this or that. What is their genius? Their awesome genius. So I love that conversation. There's a whole nother book. I'm always looking for books. And if your listeners and viewers are looking to write a book, talk to me, talk to us, Rex, send them our way. We'll help them get on stages and and write some books and become #1 bestsellers with us. So happy to help them.
That sounds good. Danny, your thoughts? We got about 5 minutes, and again, I don't know why there are no comments showing up. I do know that I will say this, my Facebook stream of this was prevented by Facebook, so it didn't show up on my wall. I know it showed up in one of the groups, but it didn't show up in my wall.
You guys forgot to hit start and record. Just kidding.
It has been known. I've done that in the past, and that's not fun. You're like, oh man, you have to go back to the beginning. We do have a few minutes left. I want to bring up the website that you've shared with us, just so people can tap into your world. And I know you're buying a domain right now, and ideas, all these thoughts are coming out, and they're creating all this amazing stuff. Like, it's clear how a business can emerge in an instant, and how you can take that forward online, right? I'll put the website up. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about what folks might find when they visit speakerhearts.com?
Love it. Was there a question in that? What would they
find on there?
So speakerhearts.com, we are one of the top 10 events not to miss in the US. Been like that for years and years. And it's because we come from the heart, and we have about 20 speakers that come onto our stages. It's all TED Talk style presentations, and pretty moving. We just had one in Scottsdale recently. We're looking at San Francisco is going to be on our lineup coming up in next couple months here. We've got Puerto Rico, San Juan, Puerto Rico, Maui, Manchester, Nashville, Dallas. They're popping up everywhere. So, go and become a speaker with us. It's pretty amazing. Most of us have a voice. Most of us have a heart, and we just need to combine both of them, and we help you do that. It's pretty cool because day one of the Speaker Hearts is a mastermind. So we literally mastermind. We teach what to say, what not to say, how to craft your speech, how to really make an impact in your speech and the world. And then day 2 and day 3 are literally the speeches that we broadcast them in certain ways, and it's pretty amazing. But we have a vetting process, like Rex, you were talking about this earlier, and Danny as well. We don't say yes to everyone. That's the key. It's we want to make sure that it's the right type of person that's ready to learn, grow, and not ask what's for lunch, but ask how can I provide lunch.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely.
Speakerhearts.com.
Yes, speakerhearts.com. Danny, go ahead. Both of you guys talking at the same time.
I think we got it together. There was a bit of a freeze on and maybe I'm outstaying my welcome in this kind lady's office, right? So I know we have to wrap this up very, very soon, but I know Rex was going to come in as well. But just thinking, closing words, closing remarks, things that might have come to mind, domains that you've bought in the last 60 minutes. What are your sort of closing thoughts and what people might be able to do, or how you might be able to spread a little bit more kind service to the world before we wrap this up?
I think that's for you, Rex. What are your closing remarks, Rex?
My closing remarks are this, because I'll say closing remarks after we say goodbye, but is there anything that you have in all the times you've ever spoken or been interviewed or had a discussion or been on stage or a platform or anything that you've wanted to say, but no one thought to ask, that if you could talk about it in a minute or so, that you would do?
That's an interesting question. I love that. I'll answer it in 2 different ways. One is I just shared a speech the other day on Saturday. And I titled the speech. It was called "The Speech of My Life," and I shared. I think you know where I'm going on this, Rex, because of your smile. And your smile includes your heart, which is really cool, by the way. I love the way you smile, Rex. Danny, not sure yet, but Rex, yes. So I titled it the Speech of My Life, and I shared that there were 2 instances that I was nervous in my shoes, and very sweaty palms, and really just very nervous. I don't know if you guys ever get nervous on stage, but there were 2 times that I could pinpoint exactly the days. One was about 15, 16, 17 years ago, and it was when my mother ended up coming in and seeing me speak. Have you ever had your mom sit in the front row to watch you speak? It's nerve-wracking, and it was crazy. It was awesome. But what was really cool, and I guess my point here is that I developed Speaker Hearts out of a thought, because I feel that a lot of us have hearts, and a lot of us, all of us have hearts, and a lot of us need to learn from. I don't call myself an expert, but somebody who knows what's going on and how to bring it out of you to share with the world. Because all of us, like our friend Les says, we all have gifts, right? We have gifts to the world, and yet we're all sitting on them. Another friend of mine says we all want to make $1 million, yet we want to still sleep till noon, right? So is there where else does that show up in your life? So what I did was I delivered the speech, and we could teach you how to do this, because it's pretty simple, actually. You just need to have somebody else look at what you're doing. And if you're like Brian Tracy was telling me the other day, cooking a Caesar salad, he actually literally has a recipe for a Caesar salad. Brian Tracy does. It's amazing. And you need someone else to taste it, to try it. Too much this, too much garlic, too much sardines, and different things, right? What is in your Caesar salad? So we teach you, we help you create your Caesar salad, which is pretty cool. And that was my speech. That 20 minutes into it, my mother was watching me in front row. All right, this is in Washington D.C., and there were hundreds of people in the audience, about 300, I think, and she was right in front row. Finally, I asked her how I did, and that afternoon I said, feedback, tell me, Mom. I was very nervous to find out what she thought. She says, honey, the first 20 minutes I was so nervous for you, but the rest of the hour I forgot it was even you. She goes, you just made, yeah, and that's where I realized I got approval, but I arrived, right? I arrived, and I was delivering something that was out of my body. It was more of an impact, right? And that was my first time ever that I'd ever been nervous in a speech. And my second time nervous as anything was this past Saturday. I was also in front of my mother and delivering a speech. And I'll leave it at that. And it was amazing. It was amazing. She was front row too, front row, front seat. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. So that being said, those are my closing remarks. I do have thementalinventory.com. Go there. It goes right to me. I just did it while we were speaking. Yes, sir. It's a done deal. So you got to check it. Let's see.
And who's ever watching this live was there when it happened. And if you're watching in replay, you saw it occur. So.
I also have, if you want to hear a funny one, I have notTonyrobbins.com. Goes right to me. Okay. So
amazing.
I love that one. I love that one.
How many domains have you got in total, roughly?
233 right now.
That's taking action right there, though, as well. And sometimes it's like, what does taking action mean? Buy the domain.
It goes right to it. That's awesome.
So cool. So cool.
You guys are amazing. I really appreciate you guys coming on to my show. Thank you. I want to close out by thanking the world. Thank you, guys. Please give it up for Danny Walsh and Rex Sykes being our beautiful co-host today. Thank you. And sorry, I'm just taking over your show.
Thanks for coming. It's been fantastic.
Stay tuned. Well, next week we have.
I love you, brother. We'll be talking soon. And thank you for being here and sharing and giving so much value to the people who are watching now and who will watch on into eternity.
Of course. Thank you, gentlemen. Really appreciate you.
All right. I'll be talking to you in just a little bit.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Rex.
Wow.
That was great.
I love you, Erik, and happy trails and travels and everything. I enjoy listening to Erik and being able to converse with Erik. I had something we did a little while ago, and he spent days and days and days trying to send me food. I can't like whatever it's called, Grubhub or whatever, and I just so appreciate him. He's very kind, very gentle, good heart. So I thank him for being here.
Yeah.
So we have some exciting news to tell everyone. Something that we're doing.
Yeah, indeed. We've worked hard on this, Rex, and I know this is something I've been discussing with people even when I've been out and about. Just put the link up down below. You've got the book study coming up where you're going to spend some time with folks, 5 days or more even, studying a book that I think is so instrumental in your development journey, right? If you want to tell us a little bit about what you're studying and why.
Yeah, we're going to be studying Outwitting the Devil, which was a book that Napoleon Hill authored long ago, but didn't get published until more recently, posthumously after he died. And it's about his conversation with the devil, and we'll leave it at that. Some people understand what it's about, and some people don't. But we're going to go into it. We got 5 days, an hour a day. It's easy to do. It's absolutely free. You can sign up, and we'll explore. We're not going to, obviously, in that amount of time, we're not going to read the whole book, but we're going to go into the principles and some of the practices, and not just from Outwitting the Devil, but kind of the gestalt of the work of Napoleon Hill, because you have Laws of Success and Think and Grow Rich and all these other books and Outwitting the Devil, and they intersect, they tie together, the different development points in terms of Hill's life. So we can address some of that, but I'm really thrilled because going deep on the works of Napoleon Hill is something that I've been doing almost all of my life, and doing book studies and talking and teaching in master classes these principles and practices so that you can transform your life is what this book study is all about.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this one, Rex. I'll put the thing up again, and we can like pop out from the side and sort of like indicate what people need to do. That's the book. That's the link down below. But it is a very interesting one, and in some respects, people were scared of this title, right? And they're scared of the book, and you can understand why. We'll kind of leave it there, but you need to join this. It starts early July. Rex is going to be live every single day, going deep on this, and all of the sessions are going to kind of link in with each other to give you a fully rounded book study, which is you've not done this for a while, Rex, right?
I haven't done this one for a while. I just did recently. I've done a couple of Think and Grow Rich ones, so that's been one of the book studies we've done. This one we haven't done in a while, so I'm really looking forward to it. And it actually starts July 9th. So if you're in the United States, it starts after the 4th of July weekend. The whole thing after the first Monday. It's going to start on the 9th of the Tuesday, July 9th, I believe it is. And by the way, people are signing up. We've got a lot of people, a lot of interest signing up. So be sure to get in case we max out.
Yes, there's quite a few people, and there's only so many we can get into the live room. So take part, get signed up. There's a VIP option as well. www.rexsykes.club/book-study. You can be on there. It's on Rex's socials, and I'll share it and mail it as well. But man, what a show! Big thanks to Mr. Awesome, and truly was awesome. Super excited to watch this one back. Rex, I guess that's.
Well, we got to tell them who's coming next time. Do you have that ready? Can they pop that up or?
We can indeed. We do have a very special guest, and you've been hanging out with this person, right, over the last few days.
Yeah.
So we've got none other than
Mr. Bill Walsh. Mr. Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh was an incredible gentleman, very gracious, very generous, and all over the world. Teaching and sharing and helping people. I just was with him in Chicago, one for a party and two to be able to speak on his stage. And, if I didn't have my show today, I'd be back in Chicago with him for what he was doing today. But we're going to have him next July 3rd. So Wednesday, July 3rd. And then July 9th is the book study. So between now and a minute from now, go register for the book study. Go register for the book study.
100%. We'll put that link on one more time, and we'll leave you with that. Rex, it's been a pleasure as always. We'll see you next Wednesday. I'm sure I'll see you before. So much going on. Super exciting times. If you're just joining us now, go back and watch on the replay. But from us, we'll see everybody soon.
Share this out, because you know what? Sometimes we get thwarted. Facebook does weird things. So go ahead and share it with the book study. Invite, while you can, invite some of your friends or family to join you in the book study. That way you don't have to do it alone, but you do it with somebody that you know and somebody who might really need this information. Besides,
Yeah, 100%. Pleasure as always. Thank you so much, everybody. We're going.
As I always say, if you consider something a problem, it's a problem. If you consider something a blessing, it's a blessing. So celebrate everything.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.